Hello and welcome to this month's Frontline. My guest host this month is Deputy Chief Carter, and this month we're going to be covering a segment from Chief's Corner, and the Chief's going to be going over the recent budgetary problems in regards to the fuel conservation. We've also got a spot with Dr. Al Craven, and we're going to take a look at the new hazmat truck and a couple other things. I think we'll start first with Chief's Corner, and again with me is Chief Carter. And why don't you give us a little overview, Chief, of the fuel conservation policy?
Okay, Joe, thanks. I asked Joe to let me come on here and try to explain to everybody why we have to do some of the things we have to do in regards to the fuel conservation. Also, to explain maybe in detail the memo that went out to the field on the 30th of October. Starting off with, let me try to clarify the date on the memo. I think that got some attention of some of the people out there, and I really appreciate that them bringing it to my attention. The date on the memo stated it was the 15th of October this went out, when in actuality it went out on the 29th or the 30th. The date was inadvertently not changed after we modified my original letter to the fire chief with input from the captains and the guys in the field, and especially from the battalion chiefs. And I want to first of all thank everybody for bringing all their ideas, if you will, to us. We got some great ideas. Some people really sat down and gave this a lot of thought. And I think if you review the memo in detail, everything that was there was recommended by somebody from the field. So their ideas were used, and they are very much appreciated. Now, to go into detail a little bit about why we did that. Last year, at the beginning of 1991 or 1990's budget, our fuel for the city's cost was roughly 60-some cents a gallon. And we used almost $100,000 worth of fuel during last year's budget time frame. We are currently paying $1.10 a gallon for that same fuel today. If the budget continues to stay as it is or get worse, we could use almost 200,000 gallons or $200,000 worth of fuel. We are not budgeted for that, nor can we afford it. To offset that, the city manager sent a memorandum to all department heads with stipulations to cut the amount of fuel used, reduce it by 30% in your department, and not send it off to somebody else's department, and not transfer money into that account to make up the deficit, nor would you be allowed to run that particular account in the red. So with those constraints, we had to come up with some kind of guidelines that would continue the service that we're delivering out there, continue the programs that we're doing, and yet reduce fuel. So to do that, under the response side of the house, we reduced some of the responses from what we were doing in some of the structural calls to those things that normally require the use of one wagon company. We decided we would just send one wagon company. 99% of the time, based on our statistics, those types of calls that we touched on were handled by one company. So we didn't feel like we adversely affected the response of the guys on the street, nor did we affect their safety, and that's of our utmost concern. We also reduced the response of the battalion officer to try to reduce the fuel usage that he has out there as well, by cutting him back on some of those more trivial type calls that they're dispatched on at times. Under the program side of the house, we cut back on such things as hydrant maintenance and fire education programs, where we were assisting those people, and in-service training, as you will see at the training center, Joe. That alone we felt like would cut us about 20% of the fuel that we needed by just reducing that one particular program. We also said look at some things in-house, such as the thermostats, and turn off unnecessary lights. It may not affect us directly here, but it does in the money department, and that money can be utilized to offset the fuel conservation. So with those things in mind, from what I've been seeing and from what I've been hearing on the radio during the last 10 or 12 days, I think that the company officers and the battalion officers and the district officers are really doing a good job by trying to reduce some of their response that the dispatcher hasn't picked up on yet, and that alone is going to conserve us quite a bit of fuel. So I see it as a big impact.
Once we, I guess, get over the hump of this crisis on the fuel and everything levels out, are we going to up the response again back to the way it was? Let's say 2 engines and a ladder and battalion chief going on electrical short, or are we just going to leave it at the single engine response?
That's something we're going to take a look at, Joe, when the situation presents itself. Right now, I don't see any let up on the fuel crisis, and we'll evaluate that at that particular time. If it warrants that we can afford to bring it back up and give safe coverage, then we'll do that. If not, we'll continue to monitor it and look and see what happens and upgrade it as we have to.
As far as drilling goes and using the live apparatus for doing various hose drills and fire stream drills and things of that nature, is that something that we're going to have to just totally curtail, or can we leave that up to the discretion, I guess, of the company officer if he sees a weakness or he sees some time needs to be spent in that?
Well, what I've said right now is, as things currently are, we're not going to reduce our training needs. If these, and we've got certain companies out there, or probably the majority of them, that need to do live evolutions with hose and water streams and those types of things for the benefit of their younger employees. We're going to continue to do that. What I would like to do is, if at all possible, is do it relatively close to the facility so we don't have to waste fuel going back and forth. At times when we can coordinate and bring together 2 company drills to do the same evolution, then we'd encourage that as well. And I've already seen some of that taking place right now. Training is of the utmost, and we're going to try to continue that on a limited basis at the company level.
How about the spring in service, the live fire evolutions?
Right now, my plans for spring in service are to come here.
Okay.
I mean, and that's, unless we get into a bigger crunch, we're going to continue to look at that. I talked to Chief Mach about this, and right now what we're looking at is the only in-service that will be at the training center during this next physical year will be that particular spring in-service. So I want to continue that. I think it's good for the morale of the firefighters. I think it's good training for them, and I think it's good for us to evaluate each other.
Okay, Chief, how is the current fuel situation going to impact the total budget as far as capital improvements, stations, equipment, and manpower?
Okay, Joe, I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but our operating budget is totally separate from our capital improvement budget. And the capital improvement budget, as we see it currently, is not affected at this particular point. And I don't want to preempt what council does here, but I think council has given us the impression that the capital improvement budget is going to maintain its current status quo, and we're going to continue online with those projects in there, 3 of which are fire stations. They may be pushed back a little bit, but as far as time frame goes, but we have been given the green light to continue what we're doing as far as construction time frame for the Little Neck station, the Diamond Spring station, and the Strawbridge station. So right now we're not looking at that as a major impact on us. It may be deferred a little bit, but we feel like they're going to be constructed within the time frames.
Okay, Chief, there was a recent article in the newspaper about staffing desk jobs in the police and fire department with civilian work. What are we going to be doing with that?
I don't know exactly where that came from, Joe. Based on the information that I got from the fire chief, and I think that came out of a staff meeting at the manager level, was as a recommendation to offset some of the budget needs. They could possibly utilize civilian positions to do certain desk-type functions that are being employed now by uniform officers. And I think that's primarily involving the police department and the possibility of maybe our fire inspection staff. But there's been no information to that effect, and I don't want to try to put the guys in fire prevention on notice because it doesn't indicate that at all at this particular point.
Okay, we do have, I guess, one trend that seems to be very positive right now, and that's the EMTD program, and there's a lot of talk in the street, so maybe we ought to talk about that a little bit and give them an update.
Okay, well, the trend is that we are going to implement an EMTD program within the fire department, and this is being supported by the EMS office. We've asked for a grant through the state to purchase 20 of these particular units. The EMTD units are called Laerdal 1000 or Laerdal 3000s, I think. If that grant goes through, we should know something by December or January, and we will purchase these and place them on the units and begin to increase our response activity in that field. And hopefully, if it's a functional program and an asset to the community, it'll be increased to where eventually all the rolling stock will have one on board.
It'd be great.
It will be.
It's a good program. Okay, Chief, I think that it is going to be a functional program, and I think it's going to impact on the services we can deliver. Up next after this message, we'll have the Laerdal representative, Dwight Lodge, here on the set with us, and he'll be going over the unit that we're trying to purchase. Okay, welcome back to the show, and with me is Dwight Lodge from Laerdal Medical Corporation, and Dwight was kind enough to come by today, and he's going to give us an overview of the machine that we're trying to buy through the grant process, and he's going to give us a look at the training system that we're going to have on hand when we do our training. Dwight, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and if you'd go through the unit, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I'm going to show you the HeartStart 3000 here. This is the latest generation of automated defibrillators in the world. The 3000 again is the latest design. It's the smallest and lightest defibrillator on the market that has a monitor. It's also extremely simple to use. Once the rescue arrives on the scene, all they have to do is open up the front cover. They will pull out their treatment cables and their pads, attach them to the patient, and then attach the machine to the patient. Once the device is attached, all they do is turn the device on and then follow the directions of the device.
Check tape recorder.
The device also has verbal prompts built in to help the rescuer along. So it tells me to analyze the rhythm. So I push the analyze button.
Stand clear.
It reminds me to stand clear of the patient if I'm not already
Stand
clear.
clear.
The device makes an audible noise as it charges, again alerting the rescuer that it's charging. It tells me press to shock, so I see that everyone's clear of the patient. Deliver the shock. I come back, reanalyze.
Stand clear. Stand clear.
Again, it's charging.
Press to shock.
Tells me to shock. I clear the patient, and I deliver my shock. Come back to analyze.
Stand clear. Stand clear. Press to shock.
And I deliver my shock.
Stand clear. Stand clear. Press to shock.
Now, the device follows the American Heart Protocol, so it'll shock 200, 200, 360, and then every additional shock after that is at 360. Now, if my patient's rhythm changes, and I analyze that,
Stand clear.
and now I'm in a non-shockable rhythm, once the device determines it's no longer shockable, it will
Check pulse.
tell me to check a pulse, and I get the message no shock indicated on the defibrillator.
Okay, Dwight, when you talk about 200, 200, 360, that's watt seconds, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That's the energy level.
All right, and as we're looking at the mannequin right now, the way you have this set up, is this color coded so the white is always up?
Yes, it's
Up
color-coded,
here
negative and positive. The way we teach the rescuers is white goes to the right, red goes to the ribs.
Okay, now this particular unit is what they call the semi-automatic unit.
Exactly.
Okay, now there was a recent study, I believe it was out of Michigan, as far as automatic and semi-automatic. Can you make this machine fully automatic?
Yes, we can make this machine. Again, that's an advantage of the 3000 over the other devices on the market. It is software programmable. So what we can actually do is take your protocol, if it's different from the one that we have right here, we can reprogram the software, and then the device will function however you choose to make it function.
Okay, and I guess the emphasis that report made was that I guess with the automatic machines, the survival rate was a little higher.
Well, it was a little higher. It was a very small study. There was a limited number of patients. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of only 100 patients, so that's not a very large study to really base anything substantial on. Other studies done comparing semi-automatic to fully automatic have not shown a significant difference between the two. Fully automatic is a little bit simpler training on than semi-automatic because it eliminates the step of having to hit the analyze button. The device automatically analyzes.
So at the factory, you can program our prospective machine to be fully automatic, where all you do is sticky side down, hook up your monitoring electrodes here, turn the machine on.
And then it will automatically analyze and go ahead and charge the
do
capacitor. So
okay.
you won't have to go through this additional step of analyzing the rhythm.
Okay. Are there any
Right.
other advantages to this machine?
Well,
or?
the 3000 has several other nice features built into it. One is, for instance, after you've converted a patient, you've got a rhythm back, has an audible R wave. So now I can hear the patient's heartbeat.
Okay.
So if I'm dealing with airway management or other things, I don't have to constantly check the pulse. The advantage of that is when my patient rearrests, sound disappears, so it immediately gets my attention. Okay. In addition to that, it is a continuously active algorithm. So still, if I do nothing, the machine will tell me
Patient.
to check my patient. That's warning me that the patient has rearrested. So that's one of the advantages there. The other advantage of the 3000 is if a paramedic, doctor, or nurse shows up on the scene, someone who's ACLS trained and can use the device manually, the device again is software driven by a module. They can take the semi-automatic module out, plug a manual module into the device, and now they have a manual defibrillator so that they can choose their own energy selection as low as 25 joules and use it as they would a manual device. So that's another significant advantage of the 3000 over other devices on the market.
So basically, we could buy, I guess, the manual module, give them to the paramedics that are in the fire department or cardiac technicians, and when they arrived on the scene or they were with this particular unit, they could plug into manual mode and basically take over the machine.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the advantages, one of the reasons that the 3000 has been so largely accepted worldwide, is because it gives that system that is a dual system that has predominantly basic life support people, but some paramedics, that ability to buy one machine and use it both ways.
Okay, Dwight, I appreciate you coming by the set today and sharing the Laerdal 3000 with us. And again, this is the machine that the Virginia Beach Fire Department is in the process seeking funds to purchase. Next up on the show, we're going to be doing a little talk with Dr. Al Craven on EAP. With us on the show now is Dr. Al Craven, and Al's with us from the EAP program with the City of Virginia Beach, and he's going to give us some information today. I think first off, Dr. Craven, if you could, I know we've got a lot of new employees. Give us a little history on EAP.
Okay, the city contracted with the Maryview Employee Assistance Program a little over 2 years ago. We're into our third year to provide the Employee Assistance Program for the City of Virginia Beach. Of course, the fire department should be pleased and proud of itself because of the fact that it in itself realized the need for an employee assistance program and had an EAP started with comprehensive mental health here at the city a year before the city decided to contract.
Okay, Dr. Craven, now what are some of the services which are provided by Employee Assistance Program?
We break the services that we provide for the city down into 3 categories: administrative, educational training, and clinical. Administrative basically is those reports that we make to the city every 3 months. It's broken down by each month within that quarter of the number of people who contacted us, the type of problems that were presented to us, and whether we provided any seminars and so on for the city during that month. That's presented to the advisory committee. You all have some designees on that advisory committee that attend every 3 months and we talk with and work with. That's the basic area of the administrative. We also list under administrative the on-site visits. I'm sure a lot of the firefighters will recall that we have come around on our own, and also we've come around in a fire vehicle provided by the department to visit with them and remind them of the Employee Assistance Program. So those are the areas under administrative. The education and training certainly is what we're doing right now. We would classify this an area of seminars or information giving to the firefighters. We provide training for managers and supervisors. Firefighters, remember when we first started, we came around and talked to all the different stations about what the program provided and so on. So those are the areas in education and training. The area that we spend the most time in, of course, is clinical. That's sort of the meat of the program. That's where we provide confidential counseling to employees and their immediate families in the area of marriage and family, personal stress, job stress, alcohol and drugs, legal referrals and so on. That's the area that we spend most of our time in, doing follow-up with those employees, making referrals for them, checking with them, seeing how things are going, and actually seeing them at their various appointments. So those are basically 3 areas in which we provide service for the city.
Great. I think it is a pretty good service, and I think it really helps the employees. It helps the supervisors if they have a problem with an employee, and gets them through a lot of things, and I think it's outstanding.
Sure.
When we go to EAP and we use EAP, I know one of the biggest concerns is confidentiality. Are you telling anybody that Joe Pozo's been to EAP? And I think sometimes that keeps people from going who need it.
I can understand and appreciate that. I think that if anyone has a personal problem or something they want to talk over with someone and they don't want it over the whole city, they want to be guaranteed or feel assured that that problem is not going to be told to supervisors or to fellow firefighters and so on. And it is not. We go to great lengths to guarantee the confidentiality of people who come to see us. The majority of people who come on their own. That means they contact the program, we make appointments, we see them, refer them if we need to, and no one ever needs to know that, and no one does know that except the EAP staff and that employee and or their family member. Some employees who come want their supervisor to know. They may have talked with the supervisor about the problem and they'll say, can you let our supervisor know? We don't do that unless they sign a release form for us to talk to the supervisor. Even when we make a referral to another professional, we have them sign a release form so that they know that we are giving certain information to the professional and to whom we are making the referral. If a firefighter is referred by their supervisor because of job performance, and that's the only way that a firefighter can be formally referred to the EAP is because of slippage in job performance, then of course that supervisor is going to know that the employee is at the EAP and getting help there. But we work very hard to guarantee that confidentiality.
Well, that's good. I think it's good to know. All right, I think that's great that you do go to those lengths for the confidentiality, and I think that kind of eases some of the folks out there who, may have stayed away from it before, because, again, like you say, you don't want everybody to know, perhaps,
Certainly.
if you use DAP.
Sure.
Okay, one more thing I think we just need to touch on is I want to use EAP. Now, how do I get in contact with you?
Okay. We have a 24-hour answering service, and the number to that answering service is 628-5114. We have cards with says Virginia Beach Employee Assistance Program on that card. Any station, any firefighter who does not have that card who would like to know that could either let their supervisor know who want to get a card, could let their supervisor know, or just call the EAP and we'll send some of those cards to them. But that's the number, 628-5114. Now that's a 24-hour answering service. They're going to answer Maryview EAP because they answer the phone for all of our contracts. And they'll ask the person calling what their name, where they work, and a phone number in order that we can get back to them. They ask them where they work because we have certain ones of us who work with certain contracts, and we try to assign those people to those contracts. That's the easiest way to get in touch with the EAP. The 24-hour answering service, of course, provides an emergency service, meaning that if on weekends and at night there is a life or death situation, someone possible committing suicide, there's always an EAP staff member wearing a beeper, and the answering service will beep that duty staff person in order to try to help them. Otherwise, during normal working hours, the calls go into the office and a staff member is assigned.
All right, you have yourself made a great impact, I think, on this department. I think most of the people know who Al Craven is. You made it a point to come to all the stations, all the shifts, shake everybody's hand, tell everybody what was going on. I want Al Craven. That's the one I want to talk to. Is that possible if you're not on call?
When you call the 628-5114 number, you ask for Dr. Al Craven, and I'll be the one that gets back to you now. And I'll try to see the person who asked for me specifically. However, I see firefighters and police officers from the cities in this area that we work with. My load may be a little heavy, and rather than to hold that person back a week or so before we see them, we might recommend that they want to see someone else. But if they want me, I'll see them, and they need to ask for me.
Well, that's great, and appreciate you coming by today and sharing this information with us.
Thank you much. I've enjoyed our 3.5 years and looking forward to a lot more working with you.
You gonna let them know what we got up next?
Yeah, Joe, we're going to take you outside here and let Greg Benshoff show you the new hazmat truck that's in service.
Okay.
I'm Greg Benshoff with the Virginia Beach Fire Department's Hazardous Materials Team, C-Shift. You might call us the Glowworms. We'd like to show you our support truck today, Support 1. We're stationed at a Company 3. Okay, we're manned 24 hours a day with one firefighter. Currently, we're in a 90-day trial period testing out responding to all working fires, and we're going to see how that works out. And if it's a good program, we're going to continue on with it. The truck's used for rehab, and it also can be used for air, hazardous materials, and incident command. let's take a look at some of the compartments now. The curb side of the hazmat truck we've set up with mainly our rehab system and our air and light support. In the front compartment here we have a 28 kW generator that's PTO driven in the truck. The only problem we've had with it so far is it's a little bit noisy, as you guys in the field probably know, and we're working with the manufacturer on getting that problem straightened out by elevating it up and putting on some rubber pads to keep the noise down. We also have all the electrical panels for the truck in here, and we have a kind of unique system for the area. Nobody else has ever had this done. We have a battery backup system for our computer, which gives us 4 hours of battery backup should our inverter fail. The inverter is surge protected, so we don't have any problem operating our computer. And then, if, like I said, if the inverter fails, we do have a 4-hour battery backup. Also in here we have a 300-foot cord reel that's electrically rewind with a 4-junction woodhead box. And we also have a monitoring panel that will allow us to monitor all the electrical systems and what they're doing, because this is a 3-phase generator. In our next compartment we have rehab supplies, and this is mostly where we keep all our air equipment and rehab equipment. We have on the top basic first aid equipment that all the pumpers are carrying, with some extra oxygen and water solutions. We also have a 700-foot reel in the back that allows us for phone usage from people's houses. We can tap right into a junction box out by the street or into the back of somebody's house to give us hardline phone systems for operation of our computer and any other hazmat fax machine and everything like that. We carry rehab supplies. We carry heated drinks. We can have hot coffee, hot soups for you, and we also have Gatorade and tea. On the next shelf we have 6 1-hour SCBAs in this box and 2 1-hour SCBAs in this box, plus our masks. We use the 1-hour bottles for hazardous materials incidents, and down below we have the racks storing our 1-hour bottles and 30-minute bottles for the field. We also carry about 15 gallons of drinking water on the truck, so if you guys get out on a hot day, we'll be able to supply you with good cold water or good cold Gatorade. Okay, here we have our fill station that is operated by our compressor and by Cascade bottles, which we have in the back. This fill station allows us to fill 2 air bottles at one time in behind this scatter shield for safety of the firefighter. What we can do is slide 2 air bottles in here. We have the hoses and fittings in the back. We make the connection. We just close the door, and through these knobs we can fill your bottles to whatever pressure we set the regulator at. The system's capable of filling up to 5,000 psi. The bottles will only go to 4,500. We can regulate pressure through a reel system. We have a 300-foot reel of high-pressure line that we can run into a fire building to any floor in the stairwell for filling air bottles in a staging type of mode, or we can use them for SABA units, which we have a connection for that we can screw right into the SABA fittings on the ladder truck and allow it to go through their regulator system, supplying the SABA unit with all the air that they need, and they'll never have to change a bottle. Okay, to augment our fill station, we have this compressor system. It's capable of producing 5,000 psi of air at 18.9 cubic feet per minute. That, bringing those numbers down, is your 30-minute air cylinder has about 4.5 cubic feet of air. So we can fill four cylinders every minute, but with a system we can't do that, but we could be capable of doing that. We have a soft start motor built into this. Because this unit draws so much power from the generator, it draws about 114 amps at startup. The surge of 114 amps would cause the unit to kick the generator and all the breakers. So we have this soft start motor. It takes 20 seconds to get the unit into full operation. It has a special gauge built in for oil, so we can keep an eye on our oil system and whether it'll tell us it won't let the unit start. It also has a computer digital display, and it's controlled by a computer chip inside, so it can tell us what the unit's doing at the time, whether it's in a cool down mode, whether it's got impurities in the system, whether it's purging the system. Now, all the filter systems are built in with the unit, and then on top we have the air conditioner unit and some other hazmat gear, plus a megaphone so we can warn people in the area if there's any hazmat problems for evacuation. This is our command center for the hazmat truck. In the back we have all our reference books for hazardous materials and all the equipment that we use for gaining information about the hazardous materials. We have a cellular phone system that's built into the truck. We also have a fax machine that can be operated through the cellular phone or through those hardline phones that we can connect, which connect up here in the back. We have 2 hardwired phones. Also, we have a printer that can be operated with our computer system that we have, the small portable 3200 Toshiba, and we have a control sheet that the city has just picked up that allows us to keep track of what's going on in hazardous materials incidents and also what is going on with fire incidents. It can be used by the incident commander at a fire scene or in the hazmat scene. The fire incident commander also can come in here with air conditioning and heating and can view the incident out one of the 36 by 36 windows that we have in the back. On the driver's side of the apparatus, we have mostly hazardous materials gear and equipment. We have all of our limited use splash suits, the Chemerel suits that you've probably seen us wearing in some of the incidents in this compartment, and also our detection and monitoring, and some foams were carried in here. We've got a special foam adapter and some foam appliances that were donated by Dave Beatty on the Hazmat Team A shift that he won at the Baltimore Fire Convention. The Task Force Tips has two types of high expansion and low expansion foam and the nozzle that's capable of 50 to 300 gallon per minute flow. And we have our sparkless tools that most of you probably seen when we came around to do our demonstration in the truck. Then we've got some new detection and monitoring equipment with some additions of new radiation gear and a Draeger air sampling system, which is used by a hand pump and a tube to detect certain types of chemicals in the air. We also have the gas techs that you've seen before that were carried in battalion vehicles. We have pH meters in there and pesticide kits that tell us what type of pesticides you could be or have been exposed to. One of the problems that we were having with the gas techs in past years was their accuracy was off. What we've done is the city has purchased a calibration kit, and every time before the hazardous materials team uses the unit, it will be calibrated, and we keep it up to date on a monthly basis of calibrating it. In this compartment we have some specialty suits. We have Teflon suits in the top that are for level B protection. They're only splash garments, they're not fully encapsulating. And we also have the Rainbird, the green suits that you might have seen us using, and they're for acids. We have a variety of chemical gloves that we store in the boxes, and also different size boots for different chemical compatibilities, and they're specially sized for everybody on the team. On the top we just have some garbage cans and buckets that are used in the decon line. If you move down a little bit, we have cones and sprayers that are used. The sprayers are used for spraying on decon solutions. In the middle of the compartment we have chairs that we use for dressing out the team members when they're getting their suits on, so they don't have to be standing all the time with all the weight on and all the equipment. And we also have all the equipment that we use for the decon line, the pools, the barrier tape to outline the line, all the tarps, and all the solutions. On the bottom we have the garden hoses and all the fittings that allow us to run from the pumper to a garden hose style fitting. We have our safety helmets, splash goggles, and vests that we carry for the incident command system. Donated by Battalion Chief Chase Sergeant was this piercing nozzle that we can use for hazardous materials incidents for piercing walls and anything like that. And you can also use it in the fire department use. It's here if you need it, and you can just give us a call and we'll be glad to bring it down. In the middle of the compartment we just have the sparkless shovel and handles, and we have a special table that we set up on the outside if incident command is going to be run from the outside of the truck instead of on the inside, or for hazardous materials incident command. On the top we have the large overpack drums, and that's used for overpacking 55-gallon drums that may be leaking. We have the small drum to the right-hand side that is used to package maybe 1 or 2 to 5-gallon jugs that may be leaking. And we also have cones for setting up the decon line again. Back on the rehab side of the truck, on the curb side, we have an awning. The awning is used to keep you guys in the shade on those hot sunny days, and it does reduce the temperature in there maybe 10 to 15 degrees and not having the sun beating down on top of you. With the amount of power we have with the generator, we also have 4 500-watt quartz lights on the truck. We have 2 on the front that are telescoping, and they telescope about 8 to 10 feet above the top of the truck. And on the back we have 2 that are tripod mounted that can be removed from the truck, and they also telescope about 8 feet above the tripod mount. In 1989, the hazardous materials team responded to approximately 70 incidents involving some civilian injuries and 1 firefighter exposure. In 1990, or as of August of 1990, the team has responded to about 90 incidents and has had more civilian and firefighter exposures. So I guess the moral of the story is let's just be careful out there and try not to get yourselves exposed to anything that you don't want to live with for a while. Also, if you have any questions or you're out on an inspection and find some chemical that you need some information about, just feel free to contact us. We're at the new Company 3 currently and running as Wagon 20 in Support 1. Or if you'd like a demonstration of our equipment or have us come out and give a drill to you or a couple companies, just give us a call anytime. Any of the shifts would be glad to do it. Thank you.
Okay, Chief. They seem to put a lot of work into that truck when I guess they were designing it and speccing it out. And there's been a lot of word on exactly how the department's going to be utilizing that vehicle. Can you let us in on exactly how they're going to respond and what their procedures are going to be?
I'll try. There's been a lot of controversy over the response to that particular unit. In reference to the truck, it was designed by the people that are using it. The 3 shifts that are currently on hazmat, they had a representative from each one of the 3 shifts with their input. So they designed a nice truck, I think, with the Hackney people, and it's worked out fairly well for us. The response of it is primarily on hazardous materials calls, obviously. It will also be dispatched on any second alarm call in the city.
Automatic.
Automatic. And the reason for that is not to substitute a response of something, but it does have the capabilities of setting up command inside the rear of the truck. It has the computer on there, it has the cellular telephone on there, and it has an inside area where you can bring people in if you have to rehab, talk to them out of the cold, wind, rain, whatever. And it also has the lights, the generator, and the air system. So it's a multi-functional piece of equipment that we felt like we could use. Also in the response side of it, we've instituted some time ago the volunteer salvage response. And those people have done a fairly good job by responding their apparatus. The weakness of it is, as in all cases with most volunteer systems, is in the daytime mode. So to try to get the guys in the field, the air and the equipment that they need in the daytime, we're going to augment the volunteer salvage response with this particular piece of apparatus. It's in service, it's manned by one person all the time, so they're going to respond on working fires in the daytime if there is not a salvage unit available. So
Now, this is just a support unit goes, or is it wagon and support?
no, it's just a support
Just
unit.
support, even
No,
on the seconds.
even on the seconds. That's why
Okay.
we decided to man it, so we don't have to tag along or drag somebody. The only time it runs in tandem is on hazardous materials calls.
Okay. All right, let's see. Next up, we're going to be taking it to the streets with Teddy Lindsay. We just finished up the officer in service on heavy rescue regarding confined spaces and the airbags. And we're going to take a look at the equipment and how some of that functions.
This is Ted Lindsay from Company 12 B Shift. We're at the Virginia Beach Fire Training Center today, where we're going through the last officer in service, which concerns confined space rescue. We're down here with Company 16's ladder crew, 16 B Shift, and they're going to give us a little demonstration on how to use the SABAs and some of the airbag procedures. We hope everybody enjoys it.
We're here today to demonstrate the airbags that we carry on the ladder trucks in the city of Virginia Beach. We're going to lift this vehicle up. First thing we're going to do is stabilize the vehicle. Firefighter Ashby. Let's shock those wheels. Thomas. Shock the wheels. We want to make sure that it's stabilized properly so it doesn't roll away when we start to lift it up. Okay, next thing we're going to do is select the proper bag for the job. We're going to use the 8-ton bag at this time. The other bags we have, the small one's a 3-ton, and the third bag over here is a 9-ton bag. Firefighter Ashby is hooking up to the air source at this time. Okay, Firefighter Barcliffe is now hooking up the valves with the gauges on them. We're only using one bag in this operation, but we have capability of using 3 bags simultaneously. So we will just hook up the 3 gauges just to show you how they hook up in line. Okay. Make sure this valve is off. We'll open our air bottle. On this regulator, you have the high side and the low side, and you want it set at about 120 psi, 120 to 125 psi to operate this system. These airbags are low pressure airbags, and we do have a pop-off valves on here and they are set to pop off at about 14 psi. Make sure that these valves are turned off. Okay? And the two firefighters are going to slide the bag in position. They're all hooked up. If we had a rough surface underneath that we were going to lift under, up, we would use some type of bag protection, such as a salvage cover folded on top of the bag itself. We're now prepared to lift this vehicle. I have a firefighter on each side, and one of the cardinal rules when you're lifting any vehicle is if you lift it an inch, you crib it an inch, of course, and that's what we're going to do here. We're going to crib on both sides using a box crib technique. Firefighter Barcliffe will now start inflating the bag slowly. Notice that Master Firefighter Ashby is not sticking his hands underneath the vehicle. If at all possible, you should keep your hands and use a piece of chalk or a piece of wood to keep your hands away from there in case something happens and the vehicle should fall down. For demonstration purposes, we're going to let some of the air out of this airbag to see how well we've chalk cribbed this and stabilized this vehicle. Go ahead. We'll let it out of the relief valve very slowly. As you can see, this vehicle isn't going anywhere. So if you happen to have an airbag failure, you would not have any problems with the person you're trying to get out or the rescuer.
Well, this will conclude the section on airbags, and we're going to move into SABA now if you just stay with us.
We're going to start at the user end, okay? This is your 5-minute emergency escape bottle and your mask. Okay. This is where you connect your supply side hose to. All right. We'll have Firefighter Barcliffe put this on right now and show you the proper way it's supposed to be worn. As with any piece of equipment, the mask is one of the most important components, and we don't want to drag it on the ground. That gets it out of your way. Okay. Next component is your supply hose. During a confined space incident, we would duct tape this connection for added safety. Okay? Next part of the system is the manifold, 5-to-1 manifold. We'll hook it up to the supply hose. Okay? Maximum of 2 hoses off this manifold. Next part of the system is the regulator. We hook it up. Okay, to operate the system, we set it at between 100 and 120 psi to operate the system properly, with 2 hoses at 200-foot length each. Next part of the system is a standard alarm bell, as you have it on your breathing apparatus. Hooked up to a T. The T has one-way valves in it. Hooked up to your two 30-minute air bottles. Okay, if you're going to start any type of confined space rescue, you need to start with at least 6 spare air bottles. All right, let's hook it up. Alright, we'll have firefighter Barcliffe put the mask on at this time. One thing with this system is, when you turn on the bottle here, you're going to have air right away at the mask. So you have to make sure these guys are about ready to go into the hole, so you don't waste your air. All right, this system is also adaptable to some of your ladder companies' breathing apparatus with this pigtail, and can be used for high-rise situations.
We want to thank the guys from 16 for coming down and demonstrating all their equipment today. We hope everybody found it interesting and enjoyable, and that'll wrap it up for this month on Frontlines.
Okay, Chief, I guess in regards to heavy rescue, again, we have a response unit that we have here in our own city, and that's over at Company 10. And again, there's some question on when that responds and what it responds on, and can you help us out with that?
Yes, I guess so. Another area of controversy.
That's why you're on the show this month.
Okay, hopefully we can iron it all out. The trench truck is a little bit different in that it is supported regionally through the Tidewater Emergency Medical Council, TEMS, I guess as we know it. That piece of apparatus was donated to TEMS, who in turn gave it to us, and we volunteered to insure it and make sure it responded. So when some people were transferred to Company 10 voluntarily to be on the trench truck, we've made a commitment to TEMS to ensure that the truck rolls. So basically what I've said is we will put a piece of apparatus out of service to get the trench truck on the scene of a trench call or a heavy rescue call or a structural collapse or whatever it's needed for. That's not just in the city of Virginia Beach, that's in the 5 Southside Hampton Roads cities, which is the agreement that we made. And we've had some vacillation back and forth between the 3 shifts, and probably from my direction or the misunderstanding of direction, we probably haven't done it uniformly across the board. It's gotten there all the time, and the response has gotten there. But I think to make it easier for everybody and to make it understandable for everybody, basically what I've said is when the truck has to go, either the wagon or engine 10 will just drop out of service. And those 3 people that are assigned to that particular piece of apparatus that are trench trained hop on the trench truck and it goes. They take it, whether it's in the city or not in the city. How does that affect the other members of the team? If the manning permits it from those guys that are in the outlying stations, whether it's a one-man band type thing, if we can get somebody in there to relieve them, they can also go. But I don't want to put the wagons and the engines and the ladder companies down to 1 and 2 people to get the trench people on the scene when we know it's a regional concept, and I know I have at least 3 from Company 10 coming. We also have a situation down at 11 where we have 2 and 3 people on each shift they're trained. And what I've also said is if the engine's up and running, we'll put the engine out of service and those guys can get in the utility truck or the hose wagon and go to put this manpower, this trained manpower, on the scene of an incident. But I'm not going to respond heavy apparatus, fire engines and ladder trucks out of the city. That's not what the contract calls for. We're to get the TEMS truck there, and that's what we're going to do. We'll also provide manpower via our utility trucks out of the city when we can afford to do that. So,
manpower.
well, when we say the manpower permitting mode, manpower permitting is kind of like out the window. You know, we're at minimum manning just
Right.
about all the time anyway. And that's one of the reasons I've said, you know, as long as engines 10 and 11 are up and running,
We're okay.
we're okay. Unless we get a severe sickness in the department or epidemic of flu or something going around to where they're physically out of service, we'll drop those pieces to get 4, 5, 6 guys on duty in the trench mode on the scene of the incident.
Okay.
You know, we've got a problem now when we're doing in service, which has been resolved a little bit, or when they're out of service. But we'll work with that as time comes on.
All right. Well, I think that's going to about do it. We're going to take a look at the smokehouse here and then just go over the testing that we did there. But I guess as far as the show goes, I hope we didn't put you on the spot too much this month and asking you some of these questions, but I think it's cleared a lot up.
Well, I'm sure if you did, I'll hear about it as soon as this is viewed by the guys out there. All I can say is we got a wealth of information out there. You guys keep those cards and letters coming.
Yeah. Again, I appreciate you coming down, and we'll get you back in a couple of months and maybe clear up, you know, some more mud in the water for us.
Glad to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Up next on the show, we're going out to the smokehouse with Chief March. We recently had the smokehouse tested. As you know, we had a little trouble during the last in-service. So we're going to take a look at the testing procedure, and next month we'll be talking about maybe some of the results that came back in regards to the test. Chief March has been staying pretty close on it, and he's going to give us a little insight on what they were doing. Chief March?
Thanks, Joe. Over the past few months, I've had a lot of inquiries about how the smokehouse is doing, how the evaluation is going. So I'd like to take a little time right now to just explain what's going on with the smokehouse. I'm sure most of you are aware of the problem with the windows on the second floor. We've had some spalling or breaking of concrete around the support areas for the windows, and that has been an area of concern through most of the last in-service. As you also know, the burn building has been shut down or put out of service since the last in-service was over, probably the middle of May. In addition to the problems with the windows, we've been somewhat concerned about what we consider to be superficial cracks in the concrete itself. So given those problem areas, what we've done is we budgeted for an evaluation to be done on the smokehouse, and the engineering firm of Abennis, Cross, and Bradshaw was awarded the bid, which was about $6,900, to do the job. There are 4 parts to the structural evaluation of the smokehouse. The first part involved a walkthrough of the burn building with Jerry Spiker, a structural engineer. At that time, we were just trying to determine where the area of most burning was throughout the years in the smokehouse. Once we determined that, then we looked at where we wanted to take the core sample. The second part of the structural evaluation involved the actual core sample testing itself. As you can see, the core samples involve boring a hole through either the wall or the floor of the burn building itself. Those core samples were then taken back to the lab and tested for compressive strength. The third segment is going to involve bringing a representative in from Lafarge who was a specialist in calcium aluminate concrete. They will conduct an evaluation of the smokehouse, both interior and exterior, and also assist in evaluating the core samples. Hopefully by January of 1991, we'll have the final results of the smokehouse evaluation, and at that time I'll share them with you.